I told you I had a problem, and now it's spread to Marvel. Thanks, toy collecting groups. Thanks, Grindhead Jim. Here with Nerd Rage Against the Machine, and today we're going to talk about Marvel Legends and my first experiences with this line. I'm new to collecting them. As you can see, there's not a bunch of ancient figures here. But before I get into that, I do have a couple of announcements and some things I want to either get off my chest or kind of clear the air about. Nothing major. First of which is last week I only did one video instead of two. And this week, again, they're later than they should be, and I do apologize for that. I tend to try to keep things on Thursday schedule, but the holidays have just kind of kicked my butt. I've been busier than expected. So my apologies about that. My plan is I'm taking some time off next month to hopefully get some content built up as a backlog so that I can kind of, stagger when needed. But bear with me. Pardon our dust, we're still working on things. The other thing is, and another apology, you may hear some weird buzzing in the audio for videos upcoming. This is because I had to move my 3D printer down into my studio. It is in a shroud, which does kind of dampen the sound, and this is one of the reasons I use a lapel mic, so that the sound should be coming from this direction, not from that direction. But if if you hear it and you're wondering why the sound quality is actually dropped, that's likely the case. I do apologize, but the benefit is that I get a much stabler print down here. Now that I've got it in a controlled environment and controlled temperature, that's going to be a huge boon for me and for being able to print things. In fact, on that subject, let's talk about vamps. All three vamps are done. All three vamps are printed. I have one here. This one is mine. There's some weird striations on mine that kind of cracked the fenders. That's why I'm keeping this one, because I can always go back and hobby it up later. The other two are actually in a box, one for Grindhead Jim and one for my 100th, or was going to be raffled off when I hit 100 subscribers. My daughter's looking forward to that because I told her she could help me pick the winner we're going to just use a random lot, but she gets to help with that, and she's excited to help figure out who gets number 3 of these bad boys. And my SpiderMan started falling. What the heck? So saying that, the last little thing, and I'm kind of proud about this, I did go on for Action Force. I did get my dossier done for Steel Brigade. I'm number 54, which is pretty cool. I got within the first 100. And yes, I did name my Steel Brigade trooper codename Nerd Rage, just because why not? I thought that was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to getting my figures. I ordered them from Big Bad Toy Store, so I'm still not seeing them yet. I honestly, and this is nothing against Valaverse or Bobby Vala, I realistically don't think I'm going to see them till January. But if I'm wrong and they show up tomorrow, awesome. Again, this is one of those I'd rather be proven wrong that way than to assume that they're on their way and start screaming bloody murder about not having them. Now, on to the main event. As you can see here, I did start dipping my toe into Marvel Legends. I've been collecting G.I. Joe Classifieds, which, again, was mostly because of getting into the idea of doing Action Force, which I've pre-ordered a chunk of and am now, as stated earlier, waiting on, which brought me to the G.I. Joe Classifieds, which then led me into, I've dipped my toe into some Star Wars Black as well, but also into Marvel Legends. Now, there's always those people, it's Marvel, DC, Beatles, Elvis, Star Trek, Star Wars, and I'll tell you, I'm DC, Beatles, Star Trek all the way. Saying that, I don't hate the others. I will listen to Elvis, sure. I watch Star Wars. I enjoy Star Wars. I have run the Star Wars RPG. I know my way around a galaxy far, far away. And the same thing's true here. While I would say, yes, I am a DC guy, I do like me some Marvel. Ms. Marvel was an amazing comic. I can't stress that one enough. If you haven't read Kamala Khan early stuff, pick up the graphic novels. They're amazing. And one of my favorite characters of all time is Captain America. He reminds me a lot of Superman, but with a lower power level. And so, as you can see, he's really the first guy I really tried to collect. So I'm going to go through each of the figures that I did get. I'm going to pause the video here or move the camera around so that I can kind of get a better view of the figures. But kind of go through my thoughts, both good and bad, about this line, because there is a lot to say. So let's start with Captain America here. This is one of the first ones I got. Like I said, I'm a huge Captain America fanboy, so of course one of the first ones I had to get was Cap. Articulation is decent. The detail is all right. This is the Gamerverse version, and I really dislike the colors. That's the one thing I would say. The red is almost maroon to brown. I would love to have seen that be a little brighter. As again, this is the Star-Spangled Sentinel, not just some Call of Duty character. The flesh also comes off as very dark, especially compared to other characters. Here's an example. I'm going to real quick pull out my Captain Carter. And as you can see, the difference in flesh tones. I mean, he almost looks like he's a zombie with that flesh tone. Now the shields, I know some people have complained about the older shields being a strap. This one uses a clip. So it's a little pole that fits into the hole in the back and then flips over to a clip, which does not sit very well on this figure especially. And again, I know this one was based on a video game, but honestly, this is the figure I was the most disappointed with. Love me some Captain America, but this one just seems a little off. And speaking of Captain Carter, this is the Captain Carter figure. I'm a huge fan of the What If stuff, and specifically, I really liked this. I don't know why they didn't just call her Captain Britain. Of course, I know about Brian Braddock and that there is a Captain Britain in Marvel's continuity, but as we're dealing with What Ifs, there's nothing stopping her from taking the moniker. And it's not like superheroes haven't, had multiple people carrying the moniker at the same time. See The Flash, Barry Allen / Wally West, as an example, or how many Green Lanterns there are. Saying that, this figure I really liked. Again, the detail is good, the articulation is wonderful. I like the costume. I have heard some complaints, and I get it. The shield uses a strap system as opposed to the clip, which is a little loose, and I remember watching Retro Blasting's video on the same figure and him complaining about that. I totally get it. I'm not saying he's wrong, but I think it comes out okay. And I really adore the character, and I think they did an amazing job with the way the figure looks for the character it is. The shield is great for the most part. I do not have the Hydra Stomper yet because I'm just not ready to pull the trigger on $50 for that figure. Maybe soon, maybe post-Christmas, I don't know. But in the meantime, at least I've got Captain Carter, and I'm excited to hear that she's getting her own series on Disney+. That should be a lot of fun. Now, again, part of that whole Captain America vibe I've got going on is this is John Walker Captain America, the new Captain America. This figure is a Walmart exclusive and actually comes in a pretty cool case. It looks like the package that you saw kids carrying in the show Falcon Winter Soldier. So the box actually looks like, instead of a typical Marvel Legends box, it looks like the packaging that you saw in the Marvel Universe episode, which was pretty cool. Now, as far as this figure goes, I like him. One thing is the sculpt is great in my opinion, especially the face. The actor who plays him, Wyatt Russell, there were some early pre-shots of the character where, I don't know if it was the shot or what, but the mask, it just looked like he had no teeth. It looked like he had false teeth or something, and just his face looked kind of smushed. I think this does a good job of looking like Wyatt Russell, whilst at the same time not giving into that weird smushed face look that you saw in early promotions of him. This figure also does come with an alternate head for him, so that you have the helmetless head, and then again the shield on this one is the clip system like on the Gamerverse version. This one though is much tighter, I found, and it works pretty well just right on the wrist, and he's got the shield. My biggest gripe with this character, there's a couple. One is the gun. This is basically a solid piece of plastic glued to his side. In an era where we have, the G.I. Joe classifieds, where the guns are all removable, and this being an adult collectible line where, if you look at the Baroness, her glasses are removable on the Snake Eyes figure. This should have been removable. It wouldn't have been that hard to remove this weapon. Hell, they could have even, if it was a tooling issue, they could have, used the same one that they used for Flint and Duke, and I don't think most people would have cared. As John Walker does carry a gun, it makes a ton of sense to give him a gun. Now, I also have, and that's why I'm going to set him to the side here, the other figure that is made of him, which is the U.S. Agent figure. Now, here I've got a few more gripes. For one, he did not come with any kind of shield. U.S. Agent should have some form of shield, I would think. Now, I know that he lost a shield in the show, but we all also know he's going to get another shield. It's going to happen. He got an alternate set of fists instead of this head, no shield, same cost. But they also included a chunk of Falcon wing because, of course, we have to do the Build-A-Figure thing. We can't just let that go. We've got to have a Build-A-Figure piece. The other thing that really annoys me, first off, I'm not a big fan of the Build-A-Figure mentality, especially considering the fact that, even right now I've collected this line. I've got one part of a Watcher, 2 parts of an Armadillo, and part of a wing for Falcon, or Sam Wilson Captain America. This is something that we could have done something else with. I get the reasoning behind it. It entices you to buy the whole line. But in a line where they're this collectible and really these figures are going up and down in value, it becomes a pain in my ass. The other big thing is paint app. This looks like a very lazy paint app in my mind for one reason. They did darken the figure to make him look more navy, more black, which is true. The other thing, though, is, so if you notice on the original Captain America, there's no white. It's just the red and the blue. This was because it was a visual cue about the fact that white in the American flag stands for purity, and he's not a pure of character. So they ditched the white. However, U.S. Agent does have the white because they don't care. This is, the conservative version of this character, and it's meant to have that white on top of it. So why isn't that white? It really looks like all they've done is that they've used a darker ink for the paint job and then called it a day. That to me felt like a real phone-it-in moment, especially when this is a big part of this character. It doesn't take much to make white lines. And again, the gun thing still annoys me. The extra fists, yeah, I get the extra fist versus the head, especially considering he didn't get the fists and he did. But to me, that's really where I think that they would have been better off making them a little more uniform, giving them the same accessories, and again, making that gun removable and learning that he needs the stripes. He doesn't, but he does. Now, these two I got mostly because I got a pretty good deal on them, to be honest with you. But I also really like the Red Guardian, the Soviet answer to Captain America. And they do an amazing job of capturing, I think, David Harbour's look for the character. Again, the shield is the clip type, which is cool. Fits right on his back. He also comes with a grappling hook and a little action figure version of himself, which was featured in Black Widow. Very cool figure, definitely worth the $25. Melina, which is comes with him, because again, this was meant to be like a $40 collector's set. I like okay. Again, the character is not somebody that really means a lot to me. It was the fact that I was really going for Red Guardian, and she's the bonus. She comes with these little Eskrima sticks, which are a little bendy in my opinion. And of course, look at this. Guns in holsters. The thing that we were missing on Captain America. You can put them here but not there. That to me kind of, again, seems like one of them is kind of phoning it in. For $25 though, I thought this was a pretty good set, especially with him. He also does come with a helmetless version of his head. If there was one thing I would love to have seen, it would have been to see a beardless Red Guardian. I know that wasn't in the movie, and that's just basically me being, maybe a little too wanty. But I think that, again, as the action figure of him was beardless, he has been beardless in the continuity. It would have been kind of cool to see. Again, pretty minor thing though. This one I would definitely say is a much better look for the figures. Now, as finding some of these figures in the wild is always a pain in the ass, I think we've all found that. When you see a new set, especially characters you like, you're going to jump on it, and that's kind of where I am with the No Way Home figures. I have yet to see the movie, but yes, I jumped on. First off, this is the first Spider-Man I found, and again, decent figure. Now, this goes back to, I'm going to go with a couple gripes. Now, again, the actual articulation is perfect on him. He only comes with the fists, though, and the web shooter hands. But a very good representation of Spider-Man. My problem comes in the fact that I've noticed with the Build-A-Figures, they're also going to 7-figure sets. One figure doesn't get jack squat. And that's probably the most popular figure in the line, and that here is Spider-Man. He came with literally nothing more than 2 sets of hands, the fists and the web shooter hands. That's all you get with this guy, not even the Build-A-Figure part, because again, they know this figure is going to sell well, so they put the Build-A-Figure with all the others so that you're kind of forced to get into the rest of the Build-A-Figure, which is really frustrating in my opinion. Which brings me to my next figure, which is actually Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, I really like Miles Morales. Into the Spider-Verse was a great movie. I think he's a great character, but as you can see, as he may be less popular than Peter, look at all the stuff he came with. He came with the Electropulse hands. He came with a set of the web hands, fists, and gripping hands, a maskless figure hand, and of course this big old Lego armadillo for the Build-A-Figure, which again, unless I'm buying the whole damn set, doesn't do me a ton of good, but I guess at least I have it. Miles right now I would say is the standout of the two, not just because of the accessories, but because I really like Miles. Now, one other weird thing I did notice, and again, someone out there correct me if I'm wrong for this, but Miles is actually taller than Peter. I thought it was the other way around, at least early on. Maybe Miles has just grown up a little, and of course Tom Holland being a little shorter of an actor, that's why they're representing him this way, but or it may just be that this is a mistake or a very slapdash thing on Hasbro's part. Now, at the same time, they did actually obviously not use a bunch of the same retooling, which is cool. But again, I'm just kind of curious. I thought it was weird that Miles is taller than Peter. And this again is a Gamerverse figure, even though it is part of that Spider-Man Far From Home line, coming with the Build-A-Figure. But just look at all the stuff you get with him versus what you get with Peter. It's kind of shocking, really. And last, but by no means least, we have the Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange. The Doctor Strange figure is really well done. One thing I love about this is the cape. The idea was that the cape is basically uses the same clip system, or the same post systems that you see on other figures, which works well because, again, the cape doesn't actually clasp. The Eye of Agamotto is also an accessory. He has these kind of cool spell effect hands along with other hands. The big downside to this figure is his posability is completely hampered by these soft rubbery robes he wears, which I get it. It looks cool. It looks more detailed than just giving him soft goods. But honestly, if they'd have just used like a silk or cotton or whatever they do use normally, polyester, I don't know. But it would be nice to see this figure have a little better articulation than what he does because of these robes. I mean, thank God Marvel superhero figures don't need to sit down. But, and again, it's mostly for the posing, but it is kind of frustrating how hampered this figure becomes, when you've got all this articulation and that it's all screwed over by the fact that he's in basically a soft rubber tomb of immobility. Again, the detail looks good. He looks like Benedict Cumberbatch. And again, the ubiquitous head that comes with for Armadillo for that Build-A-Figure fun, the extra hands. You see more accessories with him because, again, they're figuring he's not going to sell out. In fact, fun story about him was when I went to get him, I picked up the two Spider-Mans like a couple days before And my daughter wanted to go back to Walmart, so I'm like, well, if we go back to Walmart, I'm probably going to pick up another Spider-Man figure because they had the whole set there. My original plan was to pick up J. Jonah Jameson because I had some ideas for customs and things, and I like J.K. Simmons as a character. And it kind of blew my mind that they still had some Doctor Stranges, but did not have any J. Jonah Jamesons. And as a kid, I would have thought that one wouldn't have sold out because who wants a weird old man who's griping at Spider-Man when you could have Doctor Strange? I mean, come on, he's got cool spell effects. But again, adult collectors are a different breed than kids, I guess, and therefore I missed out on my J. Jonah Jameson. But that's okay. I'll get him sooner or later. I'm sure that he'll be restocked. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, otherwise, I think this is a decent figure. Again, hampered by that soft, rubbery tomb of clothing. And so there you have it. That's kind of a look at my real first dip of my big toe, if you will, into the Marvel Legends line. I do recall when I was in college, I think I bought the first Toy Biz Captain America Legends, not knowing that was going to become a thing. If I still, it was the one with like the World War II base. If I still have it, it's probably in a box somewhere. I got him in college, and I don't even recall where he is at this point. So, kind of starting this fresh at this level. Again, I don't intend to collect every single figure. That's just sheer insanity. But I like what I see. I'm not gonna lie. Solid B+ effort. There are some places where I think the line really could improve, especially like I said, some of the paint apps and the gun, especially that still just drove me nuts. But again, this line feels a lot like the other Hasbro 6-inch lines I've looked at. There is again a high quality level of articulation and a high quality level of sculpting for a modern adult collectible. But yeah, I'm digging it. But again, by no means am I going whole hog. I plan on picking up other figures, but I'm really planning on cherry picking my collection. I'm not going to be the guy who tries to go back and get every single one of them because I just don't have that kind of bank account for one, and also I just am not that obsessed with Marvel. I do enjoy some characters. I do like the Marvel movies, the MCU, and even the Marvel series. So it is kind of cool to see them in plastic and in scale with the G.I. Joe Classifieds and Star Wars Black series. They are some great looking figures, but again, they're far from perfect, but they are very good. And with that, all I can say is I bid you adieu and happy collecting.